Hello Tarot fans, welcome to another edition of Sicx Tarot. I'm your fantastic host Sicx. Thank you very much for watching. Now today's review is themed around Valentine's Day, but the problem with that is you've got to try and pick something that's that's not too overly romantic, but at the same time reviewing a deck that I can actually put on my channel without having to age gate it. So I decided to pick this deck. I hope you enjoy, and if you do, don't forget to like, share and subscribe, and also ring that bell for notifications. I think that counts, doesn't it? Should do. So without further ado, roll on that intro. Okay, so the first thing you'll notice about the Ludy Lescot Tarot, outside of the fact it's another Lescot Tarot, is the fact that the box itself is very minimalist. There's nothing on this box that actually indicates the contents of the deck itself, which can be good and bad, because one, it's nice to know that it doesn't give the whole game away, but at the same time, if you don't actually know what the deck, if you haven't actually looked into the deck itself, you don't really know what it's going to look like. So, which is why I like doing these sort of videos. But once again, as it's also Lescot, we are still looking at a 5" by 3" box, and by extension cards. And so there's not really much to say about the box itself, so we're just going to move straight on to the cards. So the first major we come across is the Tower. So this is one of those. So this is one of those things where some of these ones I've chosen are actually later on in the deck. So there's no real fall or anything like this in this one. But the first thing with this Tower is it's less about what's happened. It's less about the castle being struck, the building being struck, and more of the people being thrown off it. So it has that look of less of something bad has happened and more of the effect and the people involved in what's happened. So next we have the Hanged Man, and this one kind of stood out to me. Outside of the fact that he's landing in bones, he's also being set free from being hung rather than currently being hung. So he's already kind of paid his penance or done his sacrifice, and he's now being released. So this looks like he's being untied rather than being tied up, and that's a different sort of look to that I've noticed. Next we have the Star. Now the Star I really like. I like the image of the star in the top corner and the star being reflected in the water, which isn't something you really see too often in a lot of other tarot decks, and I just love the way that bit's been done. And obviously, as you've obviously noticed, it's a kind of very gothic looking deck, which is kind of why I chose it. But this looks really cool. This has been one of my go-to decks. Next we look at the Moon. Now the Moon, I like. First of all, you've got an actual face of the moon, but more of a human looking face rather than just a standard drawing like you'd have in your classic style of tarot. And the towers I think is interesting because you've got the towers in the background and a bridge between them that have crumbled. So they were once connected but now are not. Is it beyond repair? Don't really know, but given the time period this is kind of set in, I'd probably say no. And you've got the woman in the background at the bottom there. Now there's no actual water in this, so no crabs or walls are coming in or out of the water, which is a little interesting, which is a different take. And last we take a look at Judgment. Now I chose Judgment because it's a very different sort of look to it. Very different from your traditional. So first of all, you've still got the people who you are assuming are coming back from the dead to be taken away. But the fact they've got the red dots on the back of their heads, and the fact they're all bald as well, and you've got the what looks like the sun with a red dot there, and this entity here, now that's either might be an angel or demon calling them to the afterlife, or that's a person being sent to the afterlife. Don't really know, it's kind of tricky to tell. So next we take a look at the aces. So the first ace we have is the Ace of Swords. And so we kind of have a sword and a stone, Excalibur sort of look in the background. And this woman here with a butterfly mask. Now with the Rider-Waite Tarot, the King and Queen have kind of butterfly motif as part of the attachment to the element of air. So this woman having a butterfly mask looks really good. And just the nice purples that are involved. So next we look at wands. Now the wands in these are basically just more walking sticks, mostly. So you've got the little symbols above here. And the thing I like about this one is her mask is just made out of the wood of a tree. And I think that's pretty nifty. And I think it appears that the cane is being handed to her. And the other nice little addition to this is the salamander necklace that she has, which is still reflective of the element of fire. I also like the little window panes and curtains as well. So next we have the Ace of Coins. And once again the mask being on theme, and the fact that her mask is kind of bejeweled and maybe gold or at least a very precious metal. And the background is also kind of interesting with the golden curtain behind her, and what looks like a man's hand flipping a coin, either offering her the opportunities. Kind of a interesting sort of scenario now I think about it. I also like the fact it's kind of got the pyramid with the eye in. That's pretty cool. And last we look at the Ace of Cups. Once again the cups being handed to her, but the water is kind of all going up, so I think that's kind of interesting as well. And her headdress is just more of a, looks more like more of a headdress rather than a mask, but she's still kind of got her eyes kind of shadowed there, which I think is cool. And once again the cups being handed to her, so it's more like here the opportunity is being presented. She's being presented the opportunity rather than she represents the opportunity. Now we take a look at the minors. So if we take a look at the Eight of Wands. Now with these, as you see, you've got the symbol at the top and a number at the bottom. And with the mages, they're just in Roman numerals. Now, I've always been a fan of the Eight of Wands. Not my favourite of the wands, but I always quite like the energy it gives in the fact of just pushing forward. And she's using the wands as a staircase to go outside to the castle in the moon sunlight. Not quite sure of the time of day there. And also you notice there's skulls underneath the wood. So she's also using them to get out of her bad situation and to move forward into a better scenario. So now we take a look at the Nine of Swords. Now a lot of these have been quite tricky to pick which ones to actually choose, because a lot of them are similar in look but different in theme. So these were quite tricky to pick, like my favourites out of these, but I do like this one. So she's got like a crucifix, she's got a cross there, and like an empty hand, sorry, it looks like she's holding a stone, but she's got a cross, an enjeweled cross there, laying on the floor, in what I'd probably say is more of a night dress rather than just a normal dress, with the swords kind of around the bottom, which is looks kind of similar to the Eight of Swords, but it's just different enough, and it does have that feeling of torment but wanting to be protected. Another thing that throughout this deck with a lot of the characters is you've got the nice little bite mark there, so this is kind of like a gothic vampire sort of look and theme to it. So next we look at the Five of Cups, and this one is slightly different than the standard because with the Rider-Waite, So instead of the person looking upon a river with three cups behind them, 2 cups ahead, this looks more like it looks a bit like there's a bit more anguish going on, and there's a lot more sorrow, and this person is in a lot of an emotional pain. Now, I'm not calling that a good thing, but as an artistic representation of what this card represents, I think this is one of the more stronger visuals. And also you've got the fact that this person in the background here, now you don't know if they're walking towards or away, if they are the cause or the solution of this situation here, but I do like the feeling that this invokes. Now we'll take a look at the 8 of coins. Now the 8 of coins is, I think, one of my favourite coins. So in this one, instead of someone carving the coins or pentacles, they're sewing them onto the quilt. I think it's just something, I don't actually know the technical term for this, but I do quite like this because it does show that the sense of having to focus on just perfecting the one thing and the one skill until you've got it down pat. But I do enjoy the look of this and the kind of focus she has in her eye, the kind of focus she must have to kind of do this throughout. I do think it's quite nice. So now we take a look at the court cards. So first we take a look at the page or knave of cups. Now on this one, the pages have a kind of chalice looking symbol. I'm not quite sure what that is. The book and the little handbook will probably tell me. But you've got a nice little symbol here. Now I like the fact he's on a stage presenting the cup, and so this has a more kind of, he looks like an entertainer. He looks like he's there for the crowd, for the spotlight, but also behind him is something lurking behind. So it could be the concept of you're so focused on your goal or so focused on how you're presenting yourself that you're not really aware of what's going on around you or what could be coming up next that you might not be noticing or ignoring. Next we look at the Knight of Swords. Now I think the Knight of Swords is my second favourite knight. It's between him and the Knight of Swords and the Knight of Chalices. But I always like the Knight of Swords because he's a go-getter, does what he needs to do, puts all his energy into it. Whether it be a good cause to fight for isn't really what he's focusing on. It's just the fact that this is the cause he wants to fight for. And the fact his horse is rearing up. Also the fact there's a wolf there as well, which I think's, I don't whether the horse is scared or it's like the wolf is there, but he's so determined that he ain't scared of no wolf because he's there to do a job, wolf or no wolf. And at the bottom there you see the figure of a horse's head there, so illustrate the knight. And yeah, so he has a very kind of strong energy to him, and a big Nick energy, which I think is pretty cool there. So next we take a look at the Queen of Coins. Now the Queen has a kind of more like a chess piece sort of symbol at the bottom there, and now usually sometimes depending on the theme of the deck, the Queen of Coins is either a woman, a lavish looking woman who looks like she's really focused on her aesthetics, her wealth, how she looks, stuff like that, whilst others have a more of a motherly, nurturing. And so with this theme, it is focusing more on the nurture, where she's admiring the beauty, the aesthetic beauty of the roses, but at the same, and on a very comfortable looking chair, but at the same time it also has that feeling that she's helping them grow. She's not just looking at how pretty they are, she's putting work into their development and growth. And obviously, as you've got a rabbit at the bottom there, it is also showing that she's, for lack of a better term, a woman of fertility. So she's not just there to kind of look at the pretty stuff, she's there to kind of help things achieve their natural beauty. And last we have the King of Wands. Now the crown there is a bit more similar to what we have, similar to kind of like the Royal Crown Jewels we have in the UK, where it's kind of, most of that's probably going to be like purple cloth or what have you. But I chose him because, one, he's got an F-off lion in his presence. So similar to the strength card, that lion is there to say yes. I have the willpower to tame this lion, but I've also got the strength of a lion as well. So there's a kind of very masculine sort of energy to him. And he's got his fire, and he's got his fire there, and in the background as well. He does have a kind of very strong sense, very strong and domineering, but not necessarily in an aggressive way like in the Knight of Swords. But I think he's really cool there. Yeah, so that's my review of this lovely deck. If you do like your gothic looks, definitely go for it. Once again, it's similar to Scarabeo Affair, where the cardstock, the shuffling, it's all the same. So if you're used to a Scarabeo deck, cardstock wise, it's basically the same. So I hope you enjoyed. Once again, don't forget to like, share and subscribe, and I'll catch you all on the flip side.